as we mark Nigeria at 63. How much celebration is left in the heart of Nigerians amid the hike of fuel price? Joining us to have the conversation this morning is Mr. Shodende Peters. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All right, let us start with analyzing, the history, where we are coming from, the discovery of oil, the effect it has had on the economy. And when we started, while some analysts have said we cannot put a hand on it, and what I'm about to say is, how did we get to the point where we have corruption, this deep-rooted into the systems, and how it has undermined the development of Nigeria and of course consequently limits the country's development? Can you give us like a timeline, if you have it of course, and how you react to that conversation?
Okay, it's a loaded question actually. You want me to start from the history up to where we are today? That's about 63 years. And you want it in like 2 minutes. Okay. From the first day we started pumping out crude oil in Oloibiri to the 70s, where basically after the Civil War, when even the president then go on said the problem of Nigeria is not money, but how to spend it. As at then, we had a news headline like, how can Nigeria help the UK? We see countries like United Arab Emirates, Malaysia, China, everybody coming to Nigeria to want to pick one or two things or learn from us, how we are. Then, the Lagos Ibadan was about one of the very best infrastructure in the whole of Africa, to show you what money, especially oil money, did to Nigeria back then. And from all I gathered, I think it was when Awolowo was finance minister, and the president then was trying to give back to the people that we have so much money. How can we make every Nigerian benefit from this money? Because there's no way the money can touch each of their accounts. So Awolowo now said, okay, no problem. It is oil that is giving us money. Let us do subsidy on this fuel. When they buy it, everybody benefits. So that is where the journey of subsidy started from. So from then up till we got to democracy. And then we still had very good refineries. Once we refine our products, we sell at local markets. We've had oil at 2 naira 50 kobo, up until what we have today. Even under the military years, we were still having fuel, I think about 45 or 80. I did about 45 or between 45 and 85 naira. I can't pinpoint now, because I know, no, not up to 85, because it was Buhari that moved from 85 to 187. So during the military Abacha years, I think we left it at 40 something naira. I'm very sure. So going into the topic, how corruption came into it, and you see, the corruption started from when, will I say, the leadership of the country or the civil servants made sure that our refineries went aground. Subsidy is just like somebody trying to make life easy for you, like a gift. It was supposed to be a temporary gift. But along the line, it has become a major source of income for some people, especially the big players. We call them the oligarchs of the economy. They found out that from this subsidy, we can rake in a whole lot. How do we do it? What we need to do is to make sure that the refineries are down. Once the refineries don't work, we will create our own refineries elsewhere, or we have relationship with foreign refineries. Then we begin to bring in the products. When we bring in the products, the money in between, we make it for ourselves. Rather than the subsidy goes into local refinery here, the subsidy now comes to us as businessmen. That is the genesis of the corruption. You can imagine between 2021 and 2022, subsidy payment moved from 1.4 trillion to about 3.2 trillion, just within 1 year. Did we triple the number of cars in this country? Did we buy ×3 of the generators we have? Of course, you will see that politicians have taken advantage of it. We could hear the former Minister of Aviation, Issa Yuguda, said one of the beneficiaries of subsidy payment said, tell Buhari, we are tired of this money. It is too much. They should scrap it. So, the corruption came when we lost 4 refineries in this country. So there was no option than to import. And when you import, of course, you don't want people to pay the price we are paying now. So the government is subsidizing. Where does the subsidy go? It goes to private businessmen. If what they bring into the country is just for Nigerians alone, it's like better. Part of what they bring, they also smuggle to other countries. So you find Nigeria subsidizing for so many neighboring countries. When Nigeria removes subsidy, you could see protests in Cameroon, protests in Niger Republic, everywhere. Why are you worried about Nigeria? Because yes, they get cheap fuel from here. Up till now, they still get the cheap fuel.
All right, because we're looking at how, you know, this situation has undermined the development of the country, especially in the parts of infrastructure. Even before the refineries went aground, we still had lots of, you know, backlog of things that are supposed to be that are not, and there were complaints at the time. What was the challenge? Why weren't Nigerians, even as at then, I don't even want to talk about now because it's worse, getting the dividends of democracy? I'm talking about in the education sector, in the infrastructure, you know, in the civil service, and, you know, these parastatals not getting what is deserving. What was wrong? Is it the lack of will or the lack of, you know, resources?
Okay, let me take it from there. You see, Nigeria is a blessed country. Nigeria used to be like the light of Africa. So we were giant of Africa, not by name. Then it was by resources and by infrastructure that we had. Nigeria Airways could boast then of about not less than 50 aircraft in its fleet. Same for Nigeria National Shipping Line. We had ships in this country. In terms of we outsourced professors outside. We have people in our justice system that go to other countries to be their chief justice. So all these things, we had them. Nigeria was doing very well. In terms of cocoa, then we were still practicing regional government, and a whole lot of the economy was still small to manage. You manage yourself in silos, not this type of presidential system that we practice. So we know where we are coming from. If you look at Nigeria in some days ago, I saw a receipt of a cement, 3,700 and something, a trailer load. Cement was 20 naira. I remember when I was still a young boy, my dad used to stock cement. I had sold cement for 20 naira in this country. That same cement sold for 5,000 something today, and they are trying to bring the price to 3,000 something. I used to tell people my school fees when I was in secondary school was 35 naira. In the university, I paid 500 naira for school fees in this same country. So to tell you, it's not as if we started badly. It was in between. You see, will I say military incursion into governance also was a major problem, because the military couldn't keep up with a whole lot of things. For example, education. The military didn't believe so much in wasting money, because education does not bring money to you. You really spend and spend. That is when you saw ASU strike started, a whole lot of things. So military just look at defense, how we can defend ourselves, and what brings money, oil. Every other sector, we don't care. So when the politicians came, rather than take Nigeria to where it is supposed to be among the Committee of Nations, you know, we took independence together with people like China, people like India, Malaysia, UAE. Where are we today? Because when the politicians took over, it's over 24 years now. You hardly can you see any positive movement from what the military had done. We still have only the third mainland, built by Babangida. How many years ago? We have not had any major bridge of that kilometer done in this in 24 years. To show you that government that comes is most times stories, and you see a whole lot of money going down the drain. So unless we break down this structure, this federal structure that we practice, whereby one man is at the center deciding what happens everywhere, that exposes all of us to whatever happens or to what one man. See what Buhari had done with us for 8 years. 240 million Nigerians. You now have about 140 million in multi-dimensional poverty. When you talk about multi-dimensional poverty, you're talking about little or no access to education, little or no access to health, little or no access to food, little or no access to shelter, little or no access to clothing, little or no access to security, and little or no access to environment. So what is left? So we have not even fared better under this democracy. And the type of government we run encourages corruption. So there's no way we can continue running this type of government and expect a change to happen very soon. It will happen.
All right. All right. So quite a very honest submission you've made, and let's still stay on the relief. Relief measure that the president made in his speech, on the Independence Day. He talked about relieving the burdens Nigerians are going to go through, especially with regards to the fuel subsidy removal and all of that. On paper, like I said earlier in my speech, it only existed that, there was fuel subsidy removal, but in actuality, government was still spending money in subsidizing fuel to keep the price at the level it was. Now, he also talked about using measures like fiscal and monetary policies to be able to make sure that the economic reform is, realized. Now, let's talk about the fiscal policy, which has to do with the use of spending and, of course, taxation to make sure that the economy is influenced. On fiscal policy, we understand that between the last 3 months that fuel subsidy was removed, Nigeria was able to record 1.83 trillion naira from the savings, which were gains from the fuel subsidy. Let's try to be very honest in order to check that particular box when it comes to fiscal policy.
Okay.
What has Nigerian government been able to do in terms of aggressive spending on any of the sectors? Is it education? Is it health? What actual sector has received aggressive spending when it comes to fiscal policy?
Okay. In terms of fiscal policy and in terms of the promise made by the government, I will agree that little has been done in terms of spending. But when you talk about savings from oil subsidy removal, you see, before, we were practically borrowing to fund that subsidy. It's not as if you have the money, because if you remember, you're already spending almost 90% of your revenue to service debts. So that you were paying fuel subsidy, at a point in time, it was NNPC that was paying subsidy for Nigeria. And NNPC said, okay, now that you have removed subsidy, I don't think I want to pay anything. I will sell at normal price. So the savings you're looking at is like, people think you're saving one cash somewhere. What you have just done is, okay, I won't borrow. The revenue that I'm supposed to push to pay this one, I would rather save it and use it to do another thing. So it's not as if the money is somewhere, kept somewhere. Nigeria was borrowing to pay this subsidy. You can find out. Because we didn't have any money. The last government believed in borrowing. And there was nothing they could do.
But still the same federal government vowed that such monies, yes, savings, would be used to build on infrastructure.
Yes.
So
let
which infrastructure?
Let me explain it to you.
All right.
So NNPC is supposed to remit money to the government based on the crude, the exports, and the fuel, the imports. We expect that, okay, there'll be a difference again for Nigeria. So you remit it to the federal government. Now, there's no subsidy against Nigerians are buying fuel at whatever the price is.
Yeah.
So we expect that you can't tell us you are doing subsidy anymore. The crude you take out, you get money in dollars. The fuel you bring in, Nigerians are paying. So you remit our normal money since you are not paying subsidy for us anymore. So those monies are what the government calculates. I will have saved this, I will have saved this, I will have saved this. And they have said, if you look at the 8-point agenda of renewed hope, 1, food security, fighting corruption, you have rule of law, you have economic growth, job creation, inclusion, and all sorts. The government has said, I will push money into these sectors in this manner. The Minister of Finance has said, give us 3 years. This is what we want to do. If you listen to what the president said yesterday, I will give you guys 25,000 initially, because we are watching the inflation. Later they moved to 35,000 naira. I don't know why the government has not pushed and pumped money into the economy. But I think because of so many investigations going on, let us even know what is on ground. Let us even know what is happening to each of these sectors before we begin to push money, or else the way it happened then is what will happen now.
So you think that approach in itself makes sense? Why Nigerians are dying and having the hardship biting hard on them, families are disintegrating,
okay,
poverty is increasing, and you're saying we want to wait until all investigations are carried out?
Let me address that. That is why you see Labour coming in.
Okay.
Just like I said a few days ago when I was here, that Labour is justified to want to go on strike. Nigerians cannot die while you are trying to clean up your books. That is why you see the government coming out. Initially, no timelines to all those deliverables. Now, October 1st, I will start to implement money. You will collect 35,000 naira for 6 months. By this October, CNG kits will start arriving. By this October, 15 million households will collect 25,000 naira. By this October, I will remove VAT on diesel. By this October, medium and micro scale will start removing. So those are the issues the president had announced for July. Between July and now, nothing has been done. So Labour came in and said no. And that is the job of Labour. You need to be on the neck to get the best for the people. So that the government knows that, yes, while you are trying to clean up all the mess we've had all these years, people will not wait for you. And it is true. So I feel that with what Labour had done and how far they have gone, if those things start to happen, this particular July, don't forget, the type of deficit, the type of rot the government met is not what you will quickly jump. You imagine yourself that you had the 34 billion foreign reserve, only for JP Morgan to tell you that all you had is 3.7 billion. You have mortgaged this. Initially, before he got in there, I doubt if he knew that some of the crude we are pumping now, that we have used this as collateral.
You said you doubt. You said you doubt. Whereas he boasted that the job is not something that anyone needs to explain to him, that he was well prepared for it. So why are you giving a defense for him?
This is not a defense. These are new informations coming in. Even if you get to an organization today, because you have been an experienced person, I've been a governor, I've had vice presidents in this country. So what are you doing there?
But he boasted that he was going to hit the ground running.
Hold on. What are you doing there that I cannot do? It is when I get there, I now see that, okay, truly, it's just like when you marry. A perfect example. Sometimes, like my wife's so beautiful, she'll be gentle, everything will be fine, will be gentle. Then you get in between. You find out this man drinks. You find out this woman talks too much. You find out that you begin to eye on each other. There will be frictions here and there. You see, you cannot expect a miracle. You just get there, I will eat the ground. What do you want politicians to tell you? I don't know what's there.
All right.
They will tell you that. It's simple.
As we round off,
so it was more of a deceit anyway.
This is not deceit.
This is
politics.
Us.
Tell me, if Atiku or Obi had gone there, they would have made a deficit.
No, we're not talking about any of this candidate. We're talking about the man who sits in Aso Rock, who is the president.
If anybody had been there, you would. I would knew that CBN had borrowed the federal government 23 trillion. To be sincere to you, things happen. This is Nigeria. Anybody there, you will meet same problem, and you have to face it.
All right, yeah, it's a good thing that you're off your necks. While we're rounding off now, corruption is sitting comfortably in the systems of Nigeria, down to even the lowest levels of the systems. You walking on the street, you meet it one way or the other, from the agbero who takes monies from bus drivers, to the secretary in the offices, to even school systems. It is so much, you know. We are looking at a renewed hope, moving the country forward. Promises have been made, good English spoken, even some things set on motion we're hoping to come to fruition sometime soon. But with corruption sitting so deeply in the systems, as we're rounding off, if you can do this for me in 2 minutes, I'd be grateful. Do you think that we can truly, in honesty, move forward, seeing the amount of corruption we have to battle with in this country?
Okay, if we continue in this type of governance, in this presidential system, to be sincere to you, I doubt if anything new will happen. We will only reduce corruption by a minimum. And those are what maybe the president is trying to, okay, let me liberalize the exchange rate, let me remove subsidy so that I will block those leakages. But the corruption is not only in that sphere. For me, like I always say, if you want to reduce corruption to the minimum in this country, where we copied that democracy from, that US system, let us run it here. Let each state be independent of its own. We have arable resources everywhere. So many states are lazy. It encourages corruption because I'll go to Abuja and collect money at the end of the day, and whatever I give is okay. You could see a governor and chairman, a local government chairman fighting each other. The local government, since I came here, this man has given me nothing. Will he just wake up from the dead and say that type of thing if nothing was actually happening? I'm not actually saying it happened, but that is the Nigeria we have. Until each state become independent, each local government have power. All of us in this local government knows that, okay, this chairman is responsible to us. We are not waiting for anybody at the center. And the government is managed from planning, from childbirth to schooling, to health, to education. If you don't manage it the way we were managing it earlier in our life in the 60s, we will never stop corruption.
All right. While we keep that at the back of our minds, the conversations around the 63rd celebration of Nigeria's Independence Day continues here on iBrandTV. Thank you so much, Mr. Shodinde, for coming on the show today.
You're
we
welcome.
Appreciate your time. All right. While Josh and I drop the reins, Blessed and Omobalanle will be taking over, but that will be after this quick timeout. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.